Black and white, Hispanic, Latino, rich and poor, urban, rural, suburban. We all must put boots on Georgia ground to work together, shoulder to shoulder, to improve outcomes for our students in our education system, to create jobs, to expand health care, to continue to support the creation of small businesses. Boots on the ground, on Georgia ground, will all we need to get the job done.
Thurman joins a crowded field of Democratic gubernatorial candidates, which include former Atlanta City Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and State Senator Jason Estevez. In Atlanta, Deidre Dukes, Fox 5 News.
Thank you, Deidre. One of the Appalachia school shooting victims' mothers is speaking out about a widely discussed safety measure in Barrow County schools.
Shifting the cost to the Board of Education not only burdens an already strained school budget, it sends the message that protecting our children and teachers is somehow optional or negotiable. Because I promise you, when the shooting started, no one in that school was thinking about a budget line. They were thinking, please let someone stop this.
Brianna Schermerhorn's son, Mason, was one of 4 people killed in the tragedy. She praised school board members last night for funding school resource officers while speaking out against the county's decision to switch up funding. And at that same board meeting, Appalachia leaders talked about how the school is moving forward. The new school year just started and the 1-year anniversary of the shooting is right around the corner. Mark Teichner has been there learning about how they've been preparing for both.
In the wake of the shooting, the board hired a recovery coordinator. Last night, she laid out some of the changes that have taken place since that tragic shooting happened.
Welcome in. I'm Ariel Onstott. We start the afternoon off with breaking news. I want to let you know that 5 soldiers have been shot at Fort Stewart, one of America's largest Army bases. Now, we're learning the lockdowns have been lifted and there is no threat to the public, but I want to show you video of Fort Stewart. We know just earlier, sources on scene tell us 3 of the soldiers were rushed to Memorial Health, a level 1 trauma center in Savannah. We also know that Georgia State Patrol escorted those 3 soldiers there. 2 others rushed to Wynn Army Community Hospital there on base. The Army post went on lockdown around 11 this morning. That has since been lifted. Fort Stewart authorities responded to an active shooter incident in the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team. Now, authorities have identified at least 1 suspect who we understand has been apprehended and is in custody. The Army base is located just south and west of Savannah. You're taking a look at a map to see where this is in relation to the city of Atlanta. Now, we also are learning that the authorities want to stress there is no threat to the community. I want to get you an update from some of Georgia's leaders who are now weighing in on this. We know that Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says President Trump has been briefed and is monitoring. And on your screen, you're seeing a statement from Governor Brian Kemp, who says, Marty, the girls and I are saddened by today's tragedy at Fort Stewart. We are keeping the victims, their families, and all those who answer the call to serve in our hearts and prayers. We ask that Georgians everywhere do the same. Now, Senator Raphael Warnock also weighing in, saying that I'm heartbroken to see the news of an active shooter incident at Fort Stewart. Today, I'm monitoring the situation closely and join all of Georgia as we pray for the safety of our service members, staff, and their families. We're continuing to follow this breaking situation. We have a lot of questions, and we hope to get you answers as we continue. I do want to bring in an expert to help make sense of this situation. We have Chris Grolnek here, and you're a founder of a organization working to prevent active shootings. Chris, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I want to have you help us make sense of this. We understand it took 39 minutes to get the shooter in custody. Can you help us understand why that might be?
These situations are so fluid. And first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I'm saddened by the purpose of being here, of course. I do a lot of these interviews. And upon reflection, each time we learn that we could probably have prevented most of them. So to answer your question directly about the 39 minutes, over the past 26 years, and we look at this from Columbine to today as an active shooter, a lot of people will say this is workplace violence or this is one disgruntled person or an insider threat. But at the end of the day, the semantics don't matter to the 5 victims or their families or anyone else involved. So we have to look at this as a complete encompassing event encapsulated by violence, right? An evildoer, something went wrong. And these things happen from 0 to 8 minutes. And as if written before it happened, this one happened today, 0 to 10 minutes before the alert went out. And then it took police time to get there. And then it took time to find the shooter because there was no navigation software or mapping uh, component, if you will. And then once they got there, it took that long to get him into custody.
Chris, this is really helpful in just kind of understanding the logistics. And I would imagine being on an Army base might make things a little bit different than, say, being in a public setting.
Another great question. It's almost like we've had this interview before. Tragically, right? I'm making light of it because these are very difficult, right? And I'm only human. I've worked these things personally. This is not about the me. This is about the we. It's for your viewers, your listeners, your family. You have to ask yourself, how do these things happen? When somebody tells you they're going to do something, the number one thing is to believe them. It's called leakage. And we know the FBI backed up in the report that between 75 and 90% of people before they would be a would-be evildoer, they notify something. So I'll be interested in someone via social media telling a friend, they telegraph their intentions, and we just don't take them serious. I'll be interested to see the social media report on this. But let's get to the part of the Department of Defense and specifically Department of the Army. This is an exceptionally well-trained event, if you will, active shooter prevention. And we focus so much on response across the country. It's time that we understand these events historically, again, for 26 years, the average is 0 to 8 minutes they happen and they end at 8 minutes. So this was no more than that. And then it took 39 minutes to get him into custody. The Army has a response and a prevention program in place. So does the Department of Justice. It's probably time that we look at this and really start forwarding that message. I've spoken to Senator Warnock before. I've spoken to Governor Kemp's chief of staff. I've testified before Congress. I mean, this isn't just, I'm not a security expert. I only do active shooters. I can't tell you anything else about the world, but I can tell you about active shooters. In 2010, I was in an active shooter in real time. In 2012, I wrote my postgraduate degree on the phenomena of active shooters, and now all I do is study them. So whether it was my capstone project or today, we look at the new stats every day. Vehicle assaults, knifing, vehicle ramming, explosives, arson as a weapon, fire as a tool, and shootings. And it just goes to show you it doesn't matter the implementation or the weapon used. When an evildoer is bent on doing something wrong, they're going to find a way to do it. Today was no exception. I just hope, it's my hope, that your viewers don't get lost in the semantics of what we're going to call this, because at the end of the day, it's just a tragedy, and we need to learn how to prevent them.
Chris, excellent points. I think when you speak of leakage and just this idea of the warning signs are there if we pay attention to them and taking the steps to prevent this or to take action, it can be difficult, but keeping our eyes open and listening when people throw off those signals, those warning signs. Chris, before I let you go, I just want to ask you, as we continue to understand this situation, if someone feels that they are seeing those warning signs in their workplace, be it an Army base or a workplace anywhere else in our communities, how do they handle that? Is it something, I think a lot of us think, okay, maybe I'll just let this slide, but you're saying no, take action, report this.
Right. And there's a fine line, right? Because
Sure.
you could say, I'm so mad, I want to just take action against fill in the blank. And, it's an emotional response, but how do we know if you're serious or not? So I would just encourage everyone, if you think it's serious enough, call 911. I mean, it's as simple as that. File a report, get it on the record, and get somebody investigating it. I know this works because the Active Shooter Prevention Project invented a prevention standard that has been adopted by the government. I mean, it's in place right now. Everyone across the country has a response protocol that's been invented by Texas State called Alert. It's all the great things police are going to do when they get there. The problem is we know they can't get there for about 8 minutes, and today was just another point to that topic. So if you feel threatened or you don't know what to do, find a supervisor. And if you don't know a supervisor, find a parent. If you don't know a parent, call 911 and just report it. You're not going to feel like a snitch. It's just exceptionally important that we look back on these and people are shocked and they said, oh my gosh, I can't believe little Johnny or Susie did this, meaning this person, an Army soldier. And then they look back and say, well, he did threaten, he did exhibit these signs. Regret, there's no return on investment for regret. We print money, we don't print time. So let's value that.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us, sharing your expertise. We appreciate it today.
Thank you so much. Be safe.
Guys, I want to transition and see if we can listen in. It looks like some news outlets in the Savannah area are interviewing a doctor. I want to take a minute to listen in on what he is having to say.
What it entails, it's deciding right away if somebody's bleeding enough or has something injured that needs an operation, and getting them from the trauma bay where we do that assessment to the operating room where we actually fix the problem as fast as we can in a safe manner.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. We just want to thank you for all you're doing for those service members inside. I definitely noticed.
All right, that was Dr. William Bromberg from the trauma center here.
It looks like they're just wrapping up. We'll continue to keep you updated. Again, we know that 3 of those soldiers were rushed to Memorial Health in Savannah, 2 others on the Army base. We're still working to figure out the conditions of the soldiers. We're also working to figure out whether or not one of the 5 soldiers shot was the shooter. We're continuing to get this information to learn more information about the casualties and those involved, and we'll continue to keep you updated right here on Fox Local. So if you're streaming along with us, we want to transition and get you an update on some other stories we're following here in the Fox 5 newsroom. One big story that we have been following deals with a missing person. And 4 years ago tomorrow, a now 42-year-old father vanished. The man is the nephew of former Douglas County Sheriff and Commissioner Phil Miller. The family is not giving up, and I want to see if our Kevin Stewart is ready to discuss this situation. We're going to be getting back with him in just a little bit, getting a check on what he knows. Again, this is a developing story in Douglas County. We know that this man's family is still desperate to find him. So right now, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to be checking in on some local news stories, including a new face in the race for Georgia governor. Well, welcome in. I'm Ariel Onstott. Thanks so much for streaming along with us. If you're joining us on YouTube, welcome. Drop us a comment on some of the stories you want to know more about. We are going to go ahead and check in with meteorologist David Chandley, who, David, I want to check in because we have been seeing so much rain this week. And as we begin to transition, dare I say, I might see the sun out there. I do see a shot of Atlanta's airport. So we're going to see what we're looking at forecast-wise here in just a little bit. Let's see if we can get meteorologist David Chanley to come over and check it out for us. I see some planes getting ready to take off there. You can see, looks like the sun just peeking out over a few clouds there at the bottom of the sky. And I see a Delta plane there taxiing. So we're going to get a check-in with meteorologist David Chanley on what to expect weather-wise. I know we've been stuck in a rainy wedge pattern. We've been seeing so much rain throughout the week. Starting off, I know some of us may have felt like we were going to float away. And now it seems the sun has come out and that things are going to change as we move into the days ahead. We were speaking with meteorologist Jonathan Stacy about this effect yesterday, and he was letting us know that we are going to dry out just a little bit. So that is good news. But we'll be checking in with him in just a little bit. I want to see if we can check in with our Kevin Stewart, who is actually standing by, because Kevin, you've been following a story of a missing man, and former Douglas County Sheriff, this would be his nephew, and you're joining us live from Midtown, where we know this is where this missing man was last seen. Can you give us an update on where this stands?
Yeah, right now the family is trying to get a good sense of where things stand with their missing loved one. It's been 4 years ago. In fact, 4 years ago tomorrow. This is the nephew of longtime former Douglas County Commissioner and Sheriff Phil Miller. He was actually being treated here at Essentia Health, which at the time was the old St. Jude Recovery Center. He was trying to beat the scourge of drugs, and he actually left this facility. And that was back on August 7th, 2021, and has been seen since. I want to give you a good look at him so you can help this family. That is that young man right there, Matthew Connolly. He's 42 years old right now, and a father himself. He's 6'2", 170 pounds, and he was last seen 4 years ago in the Midtown downtown area. The family put up flyers all over this area trying to get some help, and really, it drew very little traction. So now they're trying to get the spotlight. I want you to listen to the family once again.
He was fine. He wanted to go by the place and pick up clothes, so I called the place. And I told him also if he'd be back over Monday morning to the center, they'd probably take him back in. But he never showed up.
Left with no ID, so that creates a heck of a problem. We've checked all the morgues, all the coroner's offices, everywhere we could check, and everybody was helpful, but
Matt, did you get the
he's just disappeared. And after 4 years, you would suspect that if he's still alive that we would have heard something, but there's a good chance he is still alive because he hadn't been found. You know, if he were dead, there'd be a body somewhere, and that's not the case. So there's a chance that he's living in a homeless camp somewhere, anywhere in the United States.
All right, now that picture is a picture that we want to leave with you. That is the person that you're looking for here, Matthew Connolly, 42 years old, a longtime Douglas County resident who was here in the Midtown area being treated for drug addiction, and he voluntarily left this facility. And the family says that was part of the problem in terms of getting the word out in Atlanta, because it didn't reach I guess we say the priority level for APD. They say because he voluntarily walked away and being at his age at the time. So there wasn't that high level of push here. And so they worked to get the story out 4 years ago. You may have remembered some of our. Again, that is a story we're going to continue to follow and have another update coming up on Fox 5 News at 4 and 5 and 6, which you can also watch here on the Fox Local app.
Kevin,
Ariel,
thank you so much for joining us and for sharing this information. Absolutely heartbreaking. I know that if you have a family member trying to beat addiction and you worry for their safety, there's no feeling like it. So I hope that they can get answers, and you showing his picture and where he was last seen may hopefully reveal some clues. So Kevin, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Okay, I want to see if we can now check in. I know that a big story we have been following this afternoon deals with Georgia's race for governor. So One of the big things I want to let you know about, we've been having new faces enter this race here in the coming weeks, and former DeKalb County CEO Mike Thurman is officially launching his campaign for governor of Georgia. Now, our Deidre Dukes is going to join us live to share some information about this. And Deidre, can you share a little bit about who Mike Thurman is for those who don't know?
Yeah, Thurman is a well-known name here in the state of Georgia, Ariel. He enters this race with strong name recognition. He served as state labor commissioner for 3 terms before he took on the role of DeKalb County School Superintendent and then served as DeKalb County CEO. Now, he formally launched his campaign with a campaign video announcement this morning. I had the opportunity to sit down with him today, and we talked about why he's running for governor. Here's what he had to say.
So to have the opportunity to place my hat in the ring, to offer myself for governor for the state of Georgia. I've traveled across our state over the last 8 months talking to everyday men and women, hard-working men and women about their hopes, their dreams, their anxiety, their fears. Number one, it's Mike, we're tired of the nonsense. Don't focus primarily on the social issues. We are concerned about the cost of groceries, paying their rent or mortgages, having a good education system so that their kids can go to school to earn and to achieve a quality education. They are focused on the everyday issues that working men and women have. The cost of groceries, paying the rent or the mortgage, access to health care, and creating a better quality of life for themselves and their children. That's what I came away with. And they also told me this: forget the nonsense. Get up there if you win and go to work for the people who will send you there.
And Deidre, looking at this and hearing him speak, it's incredible because he joins a growing number of Democrats already in this race, some very high profile. I feel like a new face enters this race, you know, almost every week. Can you kind of share a little bit about what that may mean? His entering, there's already some big high profile names here. Does this affect the situation?
That's right, including former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, the biggest name thus far until today, at least, to enter this race for the Democrats in the race for governor. I did talk to DeKalb CEO, former CEO Michael Thurman about that, because while Democrats have made some significant inroads here politically in Georgia in recent years, this still in many ways at the state level remains very much a red state. It's been nearly 3 decades, over 2 decades, since Republicans have managed to hold on to the governor's seat for that amount of time. So it's been nearly 3 decades since the Democrat has sat in that seat. And so I did talk to him about that. And I asked him what makes him believe that he is the Democratic candidate who can win the primary and be a real challenger for the Republicans come 2026. And this is what he told me.
In order to solve these problems, we must rise together. Black and white, Hispanic, Latino, rich and poor, urban, rural, suburban. We all must put boots on Georgia ground to work together, shoulder to shoulder, to improve outcomes for our students in our education system, to create jobs, to expand health care, to continue to support the creation of small businesses. Boots on the ground, on Georgia ground, will all we need to get the job done.
Getting his perspective on how he hopes to win the primary and take it all the way. What do Democratic strategists think? Do they agree with him?
Now, Democratic strategist Theron Johnson weighed in on today's announcement, and he said that Thurman's entry into the race today really is a game changer. And we also talked about what he expects Thurman's strategy will be. We saw a bit of that with Thurman talking about having already traveled the state in the past 8 months or so, really talking to Georgians. And here's what he had to say about that.
Thurman getting to this race for governor for 2026 is a game changer. We heard from him that he spent a lot of time going across the state of Georgia listening to voters. I think that tells you right away what type of campaign he's going to run. He has a moderate lane that he's going to focus on, and he believes that it's going to take a base plus strategy in order to win the nomination.
So, Ariel, after a month of speculation, again, former DeKalb CEO Michael Thurman making it official with the announcement today that he is, in fact, entering the governor's race.
For analyzing this for us. I know as these new faces enter, we can count on you to bring us the latest information. So thank you. We'll be checking in with you, I'm sure, again, as to how this race is going to take shape. Guys, we continue to follow breaking news here this afternoon. We know that 5 soldiers have been shot at Fort Stewart here in Georgia. And I want to give you a live look because we are waiting for a news conference to begin around 3:30 this afternoon. Again, we now know that an Army sergeant, a soldier on base, is believed to be the shooter involved in this situation. And 5 soldiers were injured as a result of this shooting. We will bring you the latest information as soon as we get it right here on Fox Local. And of course, you can listen on the radio if you're already there. Welcome 107.9 HD2 FM. And if you're on our YouTube channel, you can drop us some comments and we'll check in with you there. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll have more updates on this breaking story. Well, welcome in. I'm Ariel Onstott. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We continue to follow breaking news out of Fort Stewart, and we're waiting for a news conference to begin where we know 5 soldiers have been shot and an Army sergeant is believed to be a shooter involved in this situation. You're taking a live look at the situation. We're waiting for that news conference to begin. In the meantime, before we get going to that, I do want to check with the Atlanta Vibe owner, Colleen, and she is actually joining us, Colleen Craig, because we have an exciting announcement. Colleen, I first want to make sure that you can hear me, and great to see you this afternoon.
Great to see you. Yes, I can hear you. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, wonderful. So really quickly, we have a little bit of time. We know that a historic plan is underway for the Atlanta Vibe. 2 volleyball leagues are combining into one new league. Can you explain what this means for the team and the fans?
I think it's a fantastic opportunity. So we've operated under Pro Volleyball Federation, and there was another league that had been announced called Major League Volleyball, and that was from the Omaha Supernovas as well as a new team in Sacramento. So rather than have another league launch next year, the 2 leagues have come together. under one brand. And so we will be rebranding Pro Volleyball Federation as Major League Volleyball and joining forces to make a unified league moving forward, which is fantastic for the fans and the growth of professional volleyball.
I love it, and I especially love what this means for the future of a professional women's sport and a team. So what teams are going to be featured in this new league, and how many matches do you expect to be played in the next year?
It will be similar to last year in that our season runs January through May. Right now, we've announced 8 teams slated to play next year, with Dallas being an additional team this year. Our Vegas team, we are looking for additional owners, so we are not sure if they're going to play this upcoming season. So we have 8 teams, and we will each play 28 matches last year.
Wonderful.
And a similar schedule.
Colleen, thank you so much for joining us and giving us that update. I'm sure we're going to follow along with you to get more information. For now, we have to move on to some breaking news. Yeah. We know that a news conference in Fort Stewart is about to begin. Let's go ahead and listen in.
John Lubis, Lubas. He's the commanding general of the 3rd Infantry Division. Brigadier General Lubis will make a statement regarding the incident and take a few brief questions. Before we begin, however, I'd like to go over just a couple things with you. We have limited time for questions, given that this is an ongoing investigation, and we may not have all the information that we can share, but we will try to be as transparent as possible. We will not release the name of any victims until the next of kin notification has been complete. We will not speculate as to any intentions, motives, or backstories, given that this is an ongoing investigation. When you ask your questions, we ask that you please give your name and the affiliation in case we need to do a follow-up. And it's a little hard to hear, so please speak up so that General Lubis can hear you and that you can hear him. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will now turn it over to General Lubis.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. This morning, shortly before 11 o'clock, an active duty soldier assigned to Fort Stewart, Georgia, shot and wounded 5 of his fellow soldiers here on Fort Stewart. Thankfully, all are in stable condition and all are expected to recover. The alleged shooter is in custody. We have reestablished security. I have lifted all lockdown measures on Fort Stewart, and there is currently no threat to the local community. I'd like to recognize and thank our Army law enforcement and medical personnel and our partners from local, state, and federal law enforcement and emergency services for their quick response and support. I would also like to thank the brave soldiers who immediately intervened and subdued the shooter. These soldiers, without a doubt, prevented further casualties. Our wounded soldiers were initially evacuated to Wynn Army Community Hospital right here on Fort Stewart. All arrived in stable condition, and 3 of the 5 required surgical intervention. 2 have been transported to Memorial Hospital in Savannah, Georgia for additional care. We have identified the alleged shooter as Sergeant Cornelius Radford, an automated logistics sergeant assigned to 2nd Brigade Combat Team. Sergeant Radford has not previously deployed to combat. Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel. Right now, our primary focus is first on caring for our injured soldiers and their families, and also supporting the soldiers of the Spartan Brigade. All of the families of the victims have been notified, and we're wrapping our arms around them and ensuring we provide them all the support that we can. Before I take questions, I want to remind you that this is an ongoing investigation, and we're still gathering questions. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll now take your questions.
General Lewis will be in Coastal News. Can you give us what unit he was assigned to and how long he served in the Army? If you didn't mention that.
Yeah, he is assigned to one of our sustainment units here in 2nd Brigade Combat Team at Fort Stewart, and I will have to confirm how long he served with us. Yes, sir.
Responding with the Associated Press, as best you can, knowing it's still early, can you
Yeah, right now it's premature, and we're gathering a lot of the information. What we know is this soldier, the shooting occurred at this soldier's place of work. It did involve his co-workers. We're still not certain about the motivations, but again, he's been interviewed by Army investigators, and we believe we'll gain more information here shortly. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. We don't have any reason to believe it had anything to do with a training event. Other than that, I can't state the motivations for this soldier.
We've heard that the shooter may have been from Jacksonville, Florida. Are you able to confirm that? We also heard that he had maybe been arrested for DUI recently.
Yeah, at this point, I can't confirm where he's from. We can follow up on that. I do believe he was arrested locally for a DUI. That was unknown to his chain of command until the event occurred, and we started looking into the law enforcement databases.
Robin, now from the current, can you tell us whether or not that was a military weapon or whether this was a personal weapon that the person brought on base?
Yes, ma'am. I can confirm it was not a military weapon, and we believe it was a personal handgun. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm very confident in the security of this installation. We've got a great partnership with local law enforcement. As you can see here at our gates, we have armed guards in protective equipment. This one's a bit difficult, and we're going to have to determine how he was able to get a handgun to his place of duty.
LTOA News for Jack, has the suspect had any prior disciplinary or behavioral issues on base?
No, ma'am, not that we're aware of. But again, it's early in the investigation, but not that I'm currently aware of. I don't have the details on that, but I know that his soldiers in the area that witnessed the shooting immediately and without hesitation tackled the soldier, subdued him, that allowed law enforcement to then take him into custody.
And we've got time for one more question.
I know that you can't speak to the motivation, but if this turns out to be some situation where somebody had extremist beliefs or maybe classified as a terrorist attack, I mean, how does that change the basis response or the basis investigation moving forward?
Yeah, currently we have no reason to believe any of that is the case. However, we continuously assess the threat environment, both in the immediate area and across our Army and DoD installations, and we will address the threat level accordingly. Yes, sir. He was a sergeant. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your questions, and again, thanks to the local responders and the local community for their help. Thanks, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we're just listening into General Lubis. Let's listen. She's going to give us the spelling of his name. She said that is General Lubis. And according to the general, he was just briefing us on what happened earlier this morning at Fort Stewart, one of America's largest Army bases. We know that an active duty soldier shot and wounded 5 of his co-workers there at the Army base. Now, according to the general, 3 of those 5 were rushed to Memorial Health in Savannah for surgery. We know that all 5 of the soldiers who were shot are expected to recover and are in stable condition right now. The lockdowns have been lifted on the base. There is no threat to the public, but we have now learned that soldier has been identified as an active duty soldier, Cornelius Radford, and he worked in logistics. General Lubis was just explaining to us, or General Lubis rather, that was explaining that this active duty soldier has no previous combat experience, and he says right now that soldier is in custody and is waiting in a pre-trial confinement area where other Army personnel will begin to interview him and ask questions to understand what his motive may have been in all of this. Now, some of the questions that we did not get answered in this press conference that we are trying to understand is, how long did Cornelius Radford serve in the Army? We don't yet know that. We also don't know where he is from locally. General Lubis was saying they will work to confirm those details for us. One thing the general did say is that the Army did become aware that Cornelius Radford had possibly been arrested for a DUI locally, and the Army personnel, his chain of command, was working to confirm those details. But we do know that this shooting happened in Cornelius Radford's place of work there on the Army base at Fort Stewart, and it involved his coworker workers. The general said that he did not use a military weapon. It was a personal handgun, and that after he wounded 5 of his fellow soldiers, others in the nearby vicinity were able to tackle him and hold him until military, police, and other first responders arrived. Again, we'll continue to keep you updated on this breaking story. For now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll have more information for you on this right after. Well, welcome in. Construction is underway for a new Vietnam War Memorial in Piedmont Park. But the Sons of Atlanta Veterans Memorial Monument is on deadline to sell bricks for this monument. And it matters because they need to sell bricks to make this a reality. Our Eli Jordan joins us live from Piedmont Park. Eli, good afternoon. How many bricks are they trying to sell?
Hey, good afternoon, Ariel. That number is undetermined because that one thing what they want to do is see how many bricks they're going to have ordered to lay on this in this new memorial pathway and on the grounds of it. And the Vietnam Vets of America, Chapter 1118, have been working on this for nearly 10 years. And back in May, they finally broke ground, and they want to have this thing ready to be dedicated by the end of October, roughly, I guess. But right now, I am with the president of Vietnam Vets of America, Chapter 1118, sorry, Reverend Elson McGee. Yes. Reverend, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm blessed, absolutely feeling blessed today to be here with you, Eli, and be in Piedmont Park, where we are about to do something that has never been done before, and it's taken us 10 years to get here.
And so, go ahead.
It's taken us 10 years to get here, to get our city, my hometown, to recognize the sacrifices that we made, that the community of Fulton County made during the Vietnam War, where over 58,000 of my peers was killed, and I was wounded in combat. Well, we're bringing 242 of those young men's names home, and that's what this memorial is all about, is to honor and recognize them.
The Atlanta area lost 240 people in the Vietnam War, correct?
Yes.
And this is to memorialize all of the ones who died in Fulton County, Atlanta.
Yes.
And if I recall, you told me that your best friend growing up, his name was Louis Harmon.
Louis Harmon. Louis was KIA in Vietnam in I think it was April of 1968, it was the same month that Dr. King was assassinated. But I didn't know Lewis was KIA'd until I got home. My family didn't want me to know.
And so, I mean, how was you going to feel when you see, Lewis's name, and how will others feel when they see, their loved ones, friends' names up on this memorial? Finally, after so long of waiting for the recognition. I mean, Vietnam vets have been waiting so long for, solid recognition.
Well, I mean, personally, I feel like, well, it took too long, but better late than never. Now the generations that sent us to Vietnam, our parents and nuclear families is gone. So we're trying to reach out to siblings and probably nieces and nephews of these guys, because if you look at the website, sonsofatlanta.org, you can see their profile. Most of these young men died before they were 21 years old.
Right, and that's just too bad. They say the average age was 19 and everything, and before 21 is too. So these bricks, if somebody wants to buy a brick, they're going to help not only get this wrapped up. I know you guys are determined not to delay this any further, but how can they find where do they need to go? You see sonsofatlanta.org?
Sonsofatlanta.org on the website under commemorative brick sales. You got 5 levels of brick that you can support there. And you can the levels of brick you can buy 24/7 on the website.
And that's a sonsofatlanta.org.
Sonsofatlanta.org.
Ariel, you heard it, sonsofatlanta.org, and this is the QR code for it. And it's about time that Vietnam veterans get their due. I mean, it's been, nearly 60 years since Reverend McGee was drafted and did his service in Vietnam. And we should do our service too and recognize the sacrifice that he, his friend Lewis Harmon, and the families too that waited, that missed their family being gone during these duties, or never did get to see them again because of being killed in action. But so we want to get this memorial taken care of so we can honor our veterans.
Eli, thank you so much. It was amazing to meet Reverend McGee.
Guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ariel.
It was amazing to meet the Reverend, and wonderful, beautiful memorial, it looks like, coming there to Piedmont Park. I know they have 45 days, and they're trying to get a lot of those bricks sold. So thank you for introducing him to us. And again, thank you for sharing how we can support Eli. Guys, I'm going to bring you back in because it's time to give you an update. I want to give you a live look at the Memorial Health Hospital there in Savannah. Now, this is where we know that 5 soldiers were shot at Fort Stewart, and 3 of the soldiers are there at Memorial Health now. We know that 3 of the soldiers had to be rushed to the hospital for surgery, but all 5 who were shot are expected at this time to make a full recovery and are in stable condition. Just minutes ago, we listened to General Lubis at the Army base at Fort Stewart doing a news conference where he explained that they believe an active duty soldier, Cornelius Radford, is responsible for this shooting earlier this morning, just before 10 o'clock. They believe he shot his fellow co-workers on the Army base. And just a bit ago, we were able to listen to a doctor at the hospital who walked out and delivered an update. So let's go ahead and listen into what he had to say just a bit ago.
My name is Bill Bromberg. I'm an attending trauma surgeon, which means I've completed a general surgery residency and then advanced training in trauma and critical care. I've been here since my fellowship since 2002, so I'm actually the longest practicing trauma surgeon here at Memorial right now. And what we do is we take care of the critically ill and injured patients. If the normal ER doctors think they need to be admitted or they're sicker than the normal ER doctor sees, we're sort of like the next step for the critically ill and injured patient.
Dr. Bromberg, I know that you can't talk specifically about the patients that you have here from Fort Stewart, but we know that a great deal goes into preparing to take on critical patients like those patients from Fort Stewart likely are. Can you walk us through the process of what y'all go through when you get a call that you have gunshot victims coming in is?
Absolutely. And that's really what sets a trauma center apart from non-trauma hospitals that have emergency departments. We are expected to have a very vast array of resources ready before the call comes in. So when we get a call, whether it's a gunshot wound or somebody fell off a ladder and the the EMS people think they're critically injured. We get a phone call that says they're coming in 15 minutes. At that time, that phone call goes out to an attending trauma surgeon, a critical care fellow who is a resident completing more training, 2 surgery residents, usually a surgery nurse practitioner, 2 specially trained ER nurses, a respiratory therapist, a radiology tech, and a pharmacist. And they all are expected to be waiting for the trauma patient before that person hits the door. So you can imagine how much resources have to be put into that and how much preparation. We also have blood available in the emergency department in a cooler right there, so we can give people blood instantly if we need it. Our blood bank can give us the next 6 units of blood within 20 minutes of that person rolling in the door, with us having the first 2 units available immediately. So here's a plug, guys. Give blood. We need it. So go out there and give blood. What else can I tell you about our trauma system?
I'll ask you a quick question. If you're just joining us now, you can't tell us any specifics about their condition in there, but tell me what it's like when it comes to treating somebody that is a service member. Is there a heavy weight that comes with that? Treating somebody who has signed up to serve our country? I know you treat everybody the same, but there's got to be a different feel in that ER right now.
Absolutely. Savannah is well known to be a military community. Our program director, our trauma program director, my boss basically, completed a naval career prior to becoming our trauma director here. And we've always had a very deep connection with the military. It adds a couple of things. There's usually more people to talk to, right? The commanders are allowed to ask some details that, like, other, if your boss came and asked this stuff, we couldn't tell you. So we have to talk to multi-level people. We also get a great deal of support. They all come in with a buddy, so there's always somebody there with them, which is real touching for us. But yeah, we really care about our military.
And being the only level 1 trauma center here in the area, what does that mean when things like this, incidents of this magnitude happen? How does that affect your staff and your readiness, and you guys being the only ones who can do the job?
Well, we have to be available all the time, and we have to have the resources there all the time, which it costs money. I mean, that's really you imagine all those people just being ready and waiting. We do other stuff between traumas. We take care of the patients that are already admitted, but really it's a great deal of resources that are in preparation. We are the only trauma center between Charleston, Jacksonville, and Macon. That is a huge catchment area, and people come in from across the street, and people come in from hours away, and we have to be there for everybody.
That was Dr. William Brongbird speaking there outside the steps of Memorial Health Hospital in Savannah. And you could hear him visibly get choked up, see him get choked up, and hear it in his voice when people asked about our military, him saying that he hopes our military members stay safe, and this is just a tragic situation. I do want to let you guys know, for those just joining our stream here via the radio, if you're listening in 107.9 HD2 FM, or our YouTube stream, or right here on Fox Local via the app, thank you so much for being here. But we just learned moments ago via a news conference from General Lubis at Fort Stewart that Cornelius Radford, an active duty soldier, they believe shot 5 of his fellow service members in a work area. The general said that Radford worked with these 5 other members in the logistics section on the Fort Stewart Army base. They said that Radford has no previous combat experience, and he right now is awaiting interview from military personnel. He is in a pretrial confinement area where they're figuring out what charges he should face and what the disciplinary process is going to look like. They did say that the weapon he used was not a military weapon. It was a personal handgun, and that fellow soldiers in that work area were able to tackle Radford after he shot his fellow service members. That is according to General Lubis. They we do have some big questions. We don't know how long Radford has served with the Army. That is a question that General Lubis said that they would be looking into for us. We also don't know where he is from, and that is something we're also looking into. The general did confirm they believe that Radford had recently faced a DUI charge, and that his chain of command there at Fort Stewart had recently become aware of that, and they were going to look into that further. Right now, we know that 3 of the 5 shot had to experience surgery. They were rushed to the hospital there. You see live pictures where they are in stable condition and recovering from their surgery. We know that 2 others are at a community hospital on the Army base, and all 5 are expected to recover. The lockdowns have been lifted. There is no threat to the public. We'll continue to keep you all updated right here on Fox Local. For now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll continue to keep you updated on the other side. Well, welcome back. I'm Ariel Onstott, and new data shows shortages in the construction and skilled trades workforce may be affecting American infrastructure. Our Chris Rosenthal joins us live to talk about a new class about construction readiness. Chris, thanks so much for being with us. Can you tell us how people can get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. This class just wrapped up about an hour or so ago. This is about 20 students. It's been going on for about 20 days here in total, and tomorrow they're getting ready for a hiring fair. Construction industry, this is a pre-apprentice program for these students to really get them ready for more entry-level roles. The construction industry has had a hard time, keeping and getting those entry-level roles filled. I spoke with Johnny Hughes from Construction Ready. He said one of the issues is, goes back to even the 80s and the 90s when education was more about college and less about the vocational skills. So there are still gaps in the workforce there. One statistic here is, from Georgia data, is that this is a poll, a survey amongst construction companies. 90% say they have open hourly craft positions. And 88% say they have open salaried positions. So there's a lot of opportunity out there for people. And a lot of these students I talked to today, they were, a lot of them were looking for career transitions. I talked to one woman who is a baker, and she likes working with her hands, building things. But when you're baking food, it disappears. She wanted to go into construction, something that lasts. Another gentleman wants to get into flipping houses. So there's a lot of opportunity. They say that,
Yeah, a lot of opportunity. I do know we're running out of time, and I want to thank you because this is important. We're going to put this information, we'll clip this and put it on our website so people know a little bit more about how to get involved. For now, we know that the News at 4 is going to begin here really soon, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll see you back here after this. Thanks for streaming with us.